All right, ready to dive deep and figure out which project you want to take on.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to unpack the Sunshine Senior Living Solutions case study, SSLS for short,
SSLS.
to help you decide if it's, the right fit for you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the Spartan Tech Solutions case is more your style.
Yeah,
Or maybe you've got a brilliant project idea of your own.
of course.
So by the end of this deep dive, you'll know for sure.
Exactly.
So SSLS,
Yeah.
they're a regional senior care provider with 15 facilities,
15 facility,
2,500 residents,
2,500.
and they've got a diverse team of about 1,200 employees.
That's a lot.
And speaking of that team,
That's right.
think about the people who work in senior care.
Right.
It takes a special kind of person.
Definitely.
Someone with clinical skills, of course,
Yeah,
but also a huge amount of empathy and patience.
you need that.
It's a demanding job.
Very.
And SSLS is facing some challenges that make it even tougher. So one of the biggest things you need to know about SSLS is that they've grown like crazy over the past 5 years.
Really?
Yeah, and that rapid growth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's put a strain on their HR and training programs.
Okay.
They haven't quite caught up,
So that makes sense why.
which is why they're looking for someone like you to help them out.
Right, someone to come in.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
It's not just about the numbers, though, right?
right?
Talk about the people on the SSLS team.
The people.
You've got a mix of ages,
Oh, yeah.
cultural backgrounds,
Sure.
education levels.
Uh-huh.
So designing training that works for everyone,
That's a good point.
that's a challenge in itself.
Big challenge.
And what's really interesting is that a lot of their caregivers,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking 40%,
Wow.
have been with SSLS for less than a year.
Less than a year.
That's crazy.
That is.
That high turnover rate points to a bigger issue across the senior care industry.
Oh, for sure.
It's a tough field, and keeping employees engaged and supported is a constant struggle.
I can imagine.
So SSLS has some serious goals that they want to achieve.
Right.
They want to standardize care across all their facilities,
Okay.
which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
When you think about, providing consistent quality to residents,
For sure.
no matter which facility they're in.
Right.
They're also laser focused on reducing that sky-high staff turnover.
I bet.
40% in less than a year, that's
a lot.
a lot.
That's scary.
And they're also committed to enhancing their compliance with regulations.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of rules and guidelines in senior care,
Yeah, I can imagine.
and it's essential for them to stay on top of it all.
For sure.
They also want to make onboarding smoother and faster.
Makes sense.
Think about it.
Yeah.
The faster new hires are up to speed, the better they can care for those residents.
Of course. Of course.
Right. And lastly, SSLS is really keen on promoting knowledge sharing. Imagine all that experience and wisdom
Yeah.
getting passed down from one employee to the next.
Yeah.
That's a powerful asset.
Powerful.
So these are ambitious goals,
Very.
but we've got to be realistic.
Right.
SSLS is facing some serious roadblocks.
Roadblocks.
And, these challenges aren't unique to them.
Hmm.
They mirror broader issues that the entire senior care industry is grappling with.
Yeah, this is a big one.
So challenge number one is skill gaps.
Okay, skill gaps.
This is where things get really interesting.
Interesting.
Think about it. Only 35% of their caregivers have received proper training in dementia care.
35%.
And that's a problem because dementia is incredibly prevalent in senior care facilities.
Yeah.
Without specialized training, it's difficult for caregivers to provide the right kind of support.
Right.
We're not just talking about forgetting names here.
Right.
We're talking about, significant behavioral and cognitive changes
Right.
that require a very specific approach.
Makes sense.
And guess what?
What?
That lack of training has led to a 15% increase in resident aggression incidents over the past year.
Oh, wow.
It's a tough reality.
Yeah.
And it's putting a huge strain on the staff.
I can imagine.
It's like a domino effect, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lack of skills
Mm-hmm.
leads to increased stress,
Right.
which can contribute to even more turnover.
It's cycle.
They're also facing cultural sensitivity issues.
Okay.
About 25% of staff reported feeling unprepared to meet the diverse needs of their residents.
25%. That's a lot.
Think about it. You've got different languages,
Yeah.
customs, religious practices all coming together under one roof.
That's a lot to deal with.
It's a beautiful thing, the diversity.
It is. It is.
But it also requires a certain level of awareness and sensitivity.
Yeah.
And without the right training, it's easy for misunderstandings and conflicts to arise.
Oh, for sure.
And we can't forget about the administrative staff.
Right.
They're struggling with outdated systems,
Yeah.
a lack of training on new procedures,
Mm-hmm.
and get this, a 10% increase in compliance violations.
That's not good.
It's a whole other layer of complexity.
Yeah, it is.
And it highlights the fact that challenges in senior care aren't just about direct patient care.
Mm-hmm.
They're about the entire system,
Right.
from the front desk to the executive suite.
The whole thing.
Now, let's move on to challenge number 2,
Okay.
employee engagement and turnover.
Big one.
We've already touched on that, 40% of new hires leaving within a year.
Yeah, that was...
But the overall caregiver turnover rate is even more startling. 52%.
Oh my gosh.
52%.
That's a lot.
That number really hits home.
It does.
It's easy to get lost in the statistics,
Right.
but we're talking about real people here.
Real people.
People who are feeling burnt out, stressed,
Mm-hmm.
and undervalued.
Yeah.
And when caregivers feel that way, it impacts the quality of care they can provide.
Of course. Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
It's important to understand that this high turnover
Mm-hmm.
isn't just an SSLS problem.
Okay.
It's a symptom of a larger issue
Mm-hmm.
plaguing the senior care industry.
Yeah, it's industry-wide.
You know, these are demanding jobs,
Yeah.
often with low pay and limited opportunities for advancement.
Right.
So a whopping 72% of caregivers report high job stress.
72%. That's
That's a staggering number.
a lot.
And it's no wonder they're looking for a way out.
Yeah, I'd be looking for a way out too.
But here's the thing. 55% said they would actually stay if there were more opportunities for growth.
Interesting.
What's fascinating here is that it suggests that caregivers aren't necessarily dissatisfied with the work itself.
Okay.
They're yearning for something more,
Mm-hmm.
a chance to develop their skills, advance their careers,
Right.
and feel like you're making a real difference.
Makes sense.
So maybe there's a glimmer of hope there.
Yeah.
Maybe with the right support and opportunities, SSLS can buck this industry trend and create a work environment
Uh-huh.
where caregivers feel valued and empowered.
That would be great.
But that brings us to challenge number 3,
Yeah.
which is
So that's it.
inconsistent training and evaluation.
Oh, boy.
This is a big one.
Yeah.
Some SSL facilities offer 2 weeks of shadowing for new hires,
Okay.
while others only offer 1 day.
1 day.
1 day.
That's not enough.
That's barely enough time to learn where the coffee machine is,
Right.
let alone how to care for a vulnerable senior.
Right.
It's no wonder there are skill gaps and inconsistencies
Yeah.
in the quality of care provided across different facilities.
It makes sense.
And because there isn't a standardized way to evaluate training effectiveness,
Mm-hmm.
SSLS has no real way of knowing if their programs are working.
Right.
They might be investing time and resources into training
Yeah.
that isn't making a difference. That's not good.
And finally, we come to challenge number 4.
Okay, hit me.
Knowledge management and information sharing.
Knowledge management.
This is something I think a lot of organizations struggle with.
Oh, yeah.
But it's especially crucial in senior care.
For sure.
Imagine a vital piece of information about a resident's medication allergies
Wow.
getting lost because there's no system in place to document and share it properly.
Oh, that's bright.
Right.
That's bad.
It happens more often than you'd think.
Really?
And it can have serious consequences.
Okay.
For example,
Uh-huh.
when a senior manager at SSLS retired,
Okay.
it took 6 months for their replacement to get up to speed
6 months.
because there was no documentation of their processes.
Oh, wow.
All that institutional knowledge just walked out the door with them.
That's a problem.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
Yeah, I bet.
And to make matters worse, some facilities have started using their own local solutions, right? Spreadsheets, shared drives,
Right.
even sticky notes.
Come on.
It's creating a patchwork of information silos
Mm-hmm.
that make it nearly impossible to find what you need
Right.
when you need it.
Yeah, that's not good.
What we're seeing here is a lack of a centralized, accessible system for managing knowledge.
It's a centralized system.
And that's a huge missed opportunity.
It is.
Think about it. If SSLS could effectively capture and share the knowledge and expertise of their staff,
Mm-hmm.
they could boost efficiency,
Yeah.
reduce errors,
Mm-hmm.
and improve the quality of care across the board.
Makes sense.
So there you have it, a
Yeah.
snapshot of the challenges and opportunities
No.
facing Sunshine Senior Living Solutions.
All right.
It's a complex situation,
Very.
but it's also a chance to make a real difference
Yeah.
in the lives of both residents and caregivers.
Absolutely.
And it's a perfect example of how the senior care industry is ripe for innovation.
It is. There's so much potential there. There's so much potential to improve the way things are done.
Right.
And that's where someone like you comes in.
That's right.
We've laid out the groundwork.
Yeah,
Now it's time for you to decide if this is the challenge you want to tackle.
that's right.
So,
Should they?
should they?
I think so.
I think so too.
We'll find out in part 2.
All right, we'll see you then.
So we just walked through some of those major challenges Sunshine Senior Living Solutions is facing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's take a look at,
This would happen.
what could happen if these problems aren't addressed?
Yeah, what are the potential consequences?
Not just for SSLS, but for the residents they care for.
That's what I'm really curious about.
Yeah.
We've talked about high turnover and skill gaps.
Yeah.
But what does that actually look like in day-to-day life at a facility?
Right.
What's the worst case scenario?
Well, the most immediate concern is the quality of care residents receive. When staff are constantly changing, it disrupts that continuity of care.
Right.
New caregivers might not be familiar with residents' individual needs and preferences.
And if they're not properly trained in things like dementia care or de-escalation techniques,
Right.
it could create some really challenging situations.
Exactly. We
Right.
could see an increase in medication errors,
Oh, wow.
falls, even instances of neglect.
That's
These incidents can have devastating consequences for residents,
Yeah.
leading to physical injuries, emotional trauma, and in the worst cases, even loss of life.
that's a heavy thought.
It is.
It's a reminder that these challenges aren't just, abstract problems.
Mhm.
They have a very real human impact.
Very real. And the impact extends to the staff as well.
Oh, of course.
Imagine you're a caregiver working in an understaffed facility,
Right.
constantly feeling overwhelmed and stressed. It's
Yeah.
a recipe for burnout.
And we already know 72% of caregivers report high job stress.
That's a lot.
If things continue this way,
Mm-hmm.
you could see an exodus of experienced caregivers
Right.
leaving the facility even more short-staffed
Yeah.
and reliant on new, untrained employees.
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle.
It is.
Then let's not forget about the financial implications.
Right.
Turnover is incredibly costly for any organization,
Yeah.
but especially in senior care.
Sure.
Think about all the expenses associated with recruiting, hiring, and training new staff.
And the lost productivity,
Yeah.
while those new employees are getting up to speed,
Exactly.
it's not just about the bottom line, though, right?
No.
There are legal and reputational risks to consider as well.
Huge.
Huge.
Absolutely. If SSLS continues to struggle with compliance issues,
Uh-huh.
they could face fines, lawsuits,
Oh, wow.
and even jeopardize their operating licenses. That would be a devastating blow, not just for the organization, but for the community they serve.
Right.
So we've talked about the potential downsides, the what ifs.
Yeah, the what ifs.
But I'm also curious about the flip side.
Okay.
What are the opportunities here?
Yeah. What could success look like for SSLS if they manage to tackle these challenges?
Ooh, that's an excellent question.
Right.
Imagine a senior care organization where the quality of care is exceptional across all facilities.
Okay.
Residents feel safe,
Mm-hmm.
respected,
Yeah.
and well cared for.
Okay.
Their individual needs and preferences are understood and met by a compassionate and skilled staff.
And imagine a work environment
Yes.
where employees feel valued, supported, and empowered to do their best work.
Yeah.
They have opportunities for growth and advancement,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel a sense of pride in what they do.
Exactly. A successful SSLS would have low turnover rates,
Right.
high employee morale, and a reputation for providing excellent care.
Okay.
They would be a leader in the industry, setting the standard for others to follow.
That's a vision I can get behind.
I know, right?
So how do they get there?
Right.
What concrete steps could SSLS take to achieve these goals and avoid those worst-case scenarios we talked about?
Well, first and foremost, they need to invest in comprehensive, standardized training programs.
Okay.
Not just basic orientation,
Oh,
but
yeah?
in-depth training that addresses those critical skill gaps.
Like that dementia care training we discussed earlier.
Yes, exactly.
It's essential for caregivers to understand the complexities of dementia
Mm-hmm.
and have the tools to provide compassionate and effective care.
Right. And training in de-escalation techniques is crucial,
Yeah.
both for the safety of the staff and the well-being of the resident.
Yeah.
SSLS needs to equip their staff with the skills to handle challenging situations effectively and prevent those aggression incidents from escalating.
Right.
But it's not just about clinical skills.
Right.
We also need to address the emotional and psychological aspects of caregiving.
That's a really good point.
Absolutely. Training programs should include modules on stress management, self-care,
Okay.
and building resilience.
So they can kind of...
Caregivers need to be supported
Yeah.
and equipped to handle the emotional demands of the job.
Yeah, because I imagine that's a lot.
It is.
And let's not forget about the administrative staff.
No, of course not.
They need training on updated systems,
Right.
compliance procedures,
Mm-hmm.
and effective communication strategies.
Exactly. But training is just the foundation.
Okay.
SSLS needs to go further and create a culture that values professional development and provides clear career paths for employees.
Right. So instead of feeling stuck,
Yeah.
caregivers can see a future for themselves at SSLS.
Exactly.
They can learn new skills, take on more responsibilities,
Mm-hmm.
and grow within the organization.
And remember that statistic, about 55% of caregivers saying they would stay if there were more growth opportunities.
Yeah, that was pretty powerful.
That's a huge opportunity for SSLS.
It is.
It makes me think of a quote I heard recently.
Oh, yeah.
Train people well enough so they can leave. Treat them well enough so they don't want to.
That's a great way to put it.
I know, right?
It's about investing in your employees
Yes.
and creating an environment where they feel valued and appreciated.
Absolutely.
Now let's shift gears and talk about knowledge management.
Okay, knowledge management.
We talked earlier about the importance of capturing and sharing institutional knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
What could that look like in practice?
Imagine a centralized online platform where staff can easily access policies, procedures, best practices, training materials,
Yeah.
and even those, little nuggets of wisdom from experienced staff.
Right, like all the things they've picked up.
All the tribal knowledge.
Yeah, the tribal knowledge.
It would be like a one-stop shop for all the essential information caregivers need
Wait,
to do their jobs effectively and confidently.
I like that. That's good.
And it wouldn't just be a top-down information flow.
Okay.
Staff could contribute their own tips, tricks, and success stories, creating a dynamic and collaborative learning environment.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Yeah.
You've got the training, the career paths, the knowledge management system.
It's all connected.
They all work in tandem to create a more supportive and effective work environment.
Exactly. And by addressing these challenges head-on, SSLS has the potential to become a leader in the senior care industry.
They do.
But how do we know if these initiatives are actually working?
Right. That's a good question.
That's where data comes in, right?
Okay, everybody's talking about data.
I know. You got it. Data is essential for tracking progress, measuring impact, and making adjustments along the way.
Okay, so in the final part of our deep dive,
Yes.
we'll explore the power of data
The power of data.
and how SSLS can use it to drive positive change.
I'm excited.
We're back, ready to wrap up our deep dive into the Sunshine Senior Living Solutions case.
Back for more.
We've covered the challenges, the potential consequences if those challenges aren't tackled,
Yeah, the scary stuff.
and the amazing opportunities that exist if SSLS can get things right.
Lots of potential there.
So now it's time to talk about the secret weapon that can help SSLS achieve those goals. Data.
Data.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
I bet you are.
Everyone talks about data these days.
Yeah, it's all the rage.
But how can it actually make a difference in a place like SSLS?
Well, think of data as a diagnostic tool.
Okay.
It can help SSLS get a clear picture of what's really going on, identify the root causes of their problems, and track their progress over time.
So instead of relying on
Good
feelings or anecdotal evidence,
Exactly.
they can make decisions based on solid information.
That's right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But where do they even begin?
Right.
What kind of data should SSLS be looking at?
Well, they've already got some good starting points.
Right.
Things like employee demographics, turnover rates, training records, incident reports. That's all valuable data.
Okay.
And they're already collecting feedback from employees through those post-training surveys,
Right.
though they could definitely be more comprehensive.
Right. It sounds like they need to expand their data collection efforts
Yeah,
to get a more complete understanding of the situation.
exact.
So what could that look like?
Well, for example, they could implement more robust pre- and post-training assessments,
Okay.
not just to see if employees passed a test,
Right.
but to really gauge how much they learned and how well they can apply that knowledge in real-world situations.
Okay, so really get at like the practical application.
Yeah, exactly.
And what about gathering more qualitative data?
Oh, that's a good point.
Like actually talking to employees and
Yeah.
and getting their perspectives on what's working and what's not.
That's crucial, you know? They
Yeah.
could conduct surveys, hold focus groups, or even do one-on-one interviews.
Okay.
It's about tapping into the experiences and insights of the people on the front lines.
Right, because they're the ones that are, in the thick of it every day.
Exactly. They know what's going on.
And don't forget about the residents.
Oh, of course not.
Their feedback is essential too.
Absolutely. You know,
Right.
SSLS could conduct resident satisfaction surveys, hold focus groups with family members,
Okay.
or implement a system for tracking resident compliments and complaints.
So it sounds like we're talking about a pretty significant shift in mindset here.
It is, yeah.
It's about embedding data collection and analysis into the very fabric of the organization.
Making it part of the culture.
It's not just like a one-off thing.
No, it's got to be ongoing.
Yeah, it's got to be like baked into how they do things.
Exactly, but gathering the data is just the first step.
Okay, so what's next?
The real magic happens when you start to analyze it.
Okay, so let's talk about data analysis.
Data analysis.
What are we looking for here?
Okay.
How do we make sense of all these numbers and stories?
The key is to look for patterns, trends, and correlations.
Okay, I like that. Patterns, trends, correlations.
For example, if SSLS analyzes data on employee turnover, they might find that caregivers who receive specific training in dementia care and de-escalation techniques are less likely to leave.
Okay, so that would be a huge insight.
It would be.
It would provide concrete evidence that investing in those training programs actually pays off in terms of employee retention.
Exactly. And by analyzing resident feedback, they might discover that certain facilities are consistently receiving higher satisfaction ratings than others.
Interesting. So there's like some outliers.
Yeah, and that could lead to some interesting questions.
Okay.
What are those facilities doing differently? What best practices can be shared across the organization?
I'm starting to see how powerful this can be.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It's like connecting the dots to see the bigger picture.
Exactly.
But let's be honest, data analysis can be pretty intimidating.
It can be, yeah.
Especially for an organization that might not have a lot of experience in this area.
You're right. It does require some expertise.
Yeah.
SSLS might need to invest in data analysis software or even hire a data analyst to help them make sense of all this information.
Okay.
But it's a worthwhile investment.
Because in the long run,
Yeah.
making decisions based on data is more likely to lead to positive and sustainable outcomes.
Absolutely. And it's not just about solving problems.
Okay.
It's about identifying opportunities for innovation and improvement.
Right.
Maybe by analyzing data, SSLS discovers a need for a new type of training program or a more efficient way to communicate with families.
Okay.
The possibilities are endless.
I like that. The possibilities are endless.
They are.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive, what's the key takeaway for you?
The key takeaway.
If you're considering tackling this case study, what should you keep in mind?
Well, SSLS is facing some real challenges,
Yeah.
but they're not insurmountable.
Okay.
By embracing a data-driven approach, they can transform those challenges into opportunities for growth and improvement.
I like that.
And it's not just about SSLS.
Right.
This is a story that's playing out across the entire senior care industry.
Oh, yeah.
There's a huge need for innovative solutions, and the people who can harness the power of data will be the ones leading the way.
So as you weigh your options, SSLS, Spartan Tech, or a project of your own, think about what kind of impact you want to make.
Impact, yeah.
If you're passionate about improving the lives of seniors and caregivers,
Yeah.
and you're excited by the idea of using data to drive positive change,
Data for good.
then the SSLS case might be the perfect fit for you.
It could be.
This case study is a chance to delve into a complex and rewarding field, to develop your analytical skills,
Yeah.
and to make a real difference in the world.
That's what it's all about.
And that's what the deep dive is all about.
Yes, it is.
We hope this exploration has given you the insights you need to make an informed decision about your next project.
That's what we're here for.
Good luck with your journey.
Good luck.
And remember,
Yeah.
no matter what challenge you choose to tackle, approach it with curiosity,
Curiosity.
creativity,
I commit so.
and a commitment to making a positive impact.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, that's it for this deep dive.
Till next time.
See you later.